But we talked about Jimmy. Now we'll go to the other side because you can't talk about the finals without giving the flowers. And well, the Nuggets obviously we already talked about in 5, but that was led by none other than the Joker. And now the question comes similar like when Giannis won his, when Steph got the one last year. Where is Joker going to start ranking all time? You got two regular season MVPs, a bunch of ridiculous stats. You want to go into the PER and the super advanced nerdy stats that I don't know all of them. He's incredible. Now you got a finals and a finals MVP and an all-time finals run, not just their win-loss record, but his performance. Was it 12 triple-doubles in the playoff run? I think the most all-time in a playoff run. Like, at this point, where do we start to rank Jokic? I mean, he's obviously top 50. He was already top 75. I mean, you make a case you make a case that he's in that top quarter area in that top 25 at this point. Where do you think in the heat of the moment, possibly too early and too emotional, do we start putting Nikola Jokic on this all-time ranking?
By the way, he has 16 career triple doubles in the playoffs, which is now only 12 behind Magic Johnson in all time. So
considering he did at least 10 of those in this playoff too, like not too bad.
Yeah, no. So this is tough because big guys in the modern game have changed so much from, let's say, the early 2000s. I still say the best center of all time. You have Shaq. Does he ever going to pass Shaq? No. Then you have Hakeem. You have Duncan. You have not Tim Duncan. Sorry. You have David Robinson. Then you have Kareem. You have Dikembe. Does he rank over any of them? No, probably not.
I might give him Dikembe.
I don't know, man. See, because Dikembe's offense was just as good as his defense, and his defense was pretty dang good.
I don't know. His offense was I'm 7-2.
Yeah, Jokic's defense is let me kick as many balls as I can, considering he had 52 kickballs in the season, including playoffs, which is an all-time record, by the way. And it was 44 more than the next closest player. 44 more than the next closest player. But let's just be very clear and say Jokic is a top 10 all-time center.
Easily,
100%.
Like we're talking 8 or 7 probably.
But does he get into that top 5 all-time centers? No, not yet for me. And so that, for me, if you're talking all-time, that puts him around ranking, right? Still right around that 25 mark, 18 to 25 mark. And that's nothing against him. And it's just there's a lot of good centers in the league, a lot of good power forwards in the league that have played all-time, great shooting guards and power and small forwards and point guards. I mean, so it's like you have to get until he gets in the top 5 of centers. I can't even start talking about him being in the top 10 all time or even the top 15 all time because of the ranking there. But yeah, and this is actually 100% a fact. Not top 5 unless he learns to play defense, and I do mean like a real defense, not let me kick the ball. So now, mind you, it's a smart play because you don't lose anything. You just they get the ball back with the time currently on the clock. So if there's like 4.7 seconds on the shot clock, they get the ball side out with 4.7 seconds. So it's a great strategy. It's just, and it's probably something that's going to end up changing the game. They're going to end up changing that ruling probably next year. But it's not defense. And, right now, I still have the question of, is he better than Joel Embiid?
And
that's my ultimate question.
Me personally, I'm going to comfortably say yes right now, though. But I get what you're getting at as well.
But Jokic would only have one of those MVPs had it not been for the voters kind of screwing Joel Embiid.
You could make the case this year too that Jokic had a good chance for it as well. I think it 6 on one end, half a dozen the other. Either way,
it's tough.
That's how close it has been. Minus that first one, he clearly won the first one. I think there's no debate about that.
Yeah.
That was a runaway. But when I look at it too, I think he's not top 5 in centers. He's probably around that 25-ish or so mark. I also kind of categorize him as that center versatile because of the way he plays point center, forward, guard, whatever the hell he wants to at that point. How he runs the offense so different. Like I don't classify him as just a back to the basket pull-up center, but like there's Hakeem, there's Kareem, there's Shaq. Those 3 still got quite a bit of distance. Then there's still the Wilt and the Bill Russell and a few guys like that.
Yeah, I didn't even include Wilt.
Yeah, there's Moses. So he's centers 7 to 8-ish range, which is still outstanding. Like this is right now when he's 31 years old or something like that. Like, he's got time if he wants to. He's got some growing room. Top 25-ish all time. I think he's higher on the all time than he is 20, even better. Like plenty of time if he wants it. So I think it's kind of like when Giannis won his title. It's like, well, here we go. He's best player in the world, and now he's got room to explode. And the only difference was Giannis had defensive player of the year on his resume, but he can't hit the broadside of a barn from the free throw line sometimes. So we're splitting hairs, but I do think Jokic has cracked into that top 30 for sure. I think we'll have to
Oh
wait
yeah,
to see. I think defensively, we're all in agreement. I want to see him not just be a big body. Like he does a good job getting the way, maybe gets a block here or there because he's a big body, but I want to see him start to kind of lock up the paint a little bit more, which at the same time, he doesn't really have to, but I think that'd be the next step in his game to make him. Right now, you can make a case he's the best player in the world. I think that'd make him a little more undisputed if he could pull something like that as well. But either way, not taking away from this playoff run because he went from the guy who can't win in the postseason but racks up all the awards to where they were people were convinced he was a stat patter. So now he's a champion where his best performances came in the biggest moments as well. I mean, even against the Lakers in that final possession, he's the one who drove baseline and went through a double team to get a layup to give them the lead in that game 4. So
yeah.
I'd say he's a Hall of Famer locked in if he decides, I'm going to go play with my horses. I'm not playing this basketball thing anymore. I'm going home. This parade ruined it for me. I'm staying in Serbia. I'm not coming back. So he's surefire first bout Hall of Famer right now. He's chasing some big names and he's got a little bit to go, but he's at 28 years old. You can't ask for a better position if that's the goal, which for him, he does not do too, what's about.
We'll say he's probably top 3 in personality to ever play the game as far as like, look, I mean, how often have we seen European players just be really completely buttoned up? I mean, you have really laid back guys like Dirk and Manu, Tony Parker, who was very buttoned up with his way. I mean, I guess you could say Tim Duncan, technically as a foreign player was about as fun of a personality as a, wet paper bag. But Jokic is actually like entertaining. I mean, his expression when they're like, the parade's Thursday. No, I will not go to the parade. I have to get home to my horses. Like I have horse racing this weekend. Like he's like, oh, I need to ask Stan if I can borrow the plane. Like, that's hilarious. I mean, that's quality content. He's also been given this all time. But I will say, if you want to talk rankings for this guy, I got to give him this, and this is a pretty easy one, and I feel like I'm shooting at low-hanging fruit yet again. Go figure, I'm the guy that's picking low-hanging fruit here. But best all-time second-round draft pick, easily. I don't think there's a single question about that. You could honestly say maybe the best all-time not taken in the top 20 of the NBA draft. Because there's not a lot of guys that were taken through that 21 through 32 or 30 range that I can really say that are maybe better than him on the all-time list. Frankly,
when I think of second-round picks, he's the first and the main name that comes up right now. There are some other.
He's the only one to win an MVP.
Exactly.
The only one.
There are others that are quite up there. He's ahead of the short list. Like I'm having a hard time even thinking of any. So pretty much in agreement. Jokic, an all-time player, and still climbing if he wants to, and a real treat to hang around. Like when they were doing the champagne thing after, he's like, "Yay, I'm done." He didn't even get half of the bottle to come out of there, then walked away.
It really it reminds me of a more expressive Tim Duncan in a lot of ways. Mm-hmm. But so I have a question about this because who he reminds me of is a lot of a combination of Tim Duncan and Pau Gasol. Could you say that maybe he is potentially not Tim Duncan wise, but Pau Gasol? Has he surpassed Pau Gasol as maybe the greatest ever international center?
It depends.
I guess European center, I should say.
In that case, I'd say yeah, because I still think Hakeem he still qualifies as an international center from what I understand too. So I'd still have him higher on there. But every other international player, I think you can make the case he surpassed Dirk. Overall, I think they're pretty close. I think they're relatively close overall, just because the one extra MVP really and the eye test as well. I think they're really close. So I'd say he's in a really, really elite category even whether you break it up, even when you go with the international players who there's a lot of really good ones. And I think the cream at the crop is very, very tight and he's in that mix for sure. So all time, especially big men, it's probably him and Hakeem. I'd have to actually go down and look through it, but I can't think of really anyone else on that all time big man list, power forward and center, that's not up there.
Yeah. I'm the same. I'll say it's tough for me too. I think Hakeem maybe still has the edge. But again, that's like what we just talked about. Hakeem is right there at 5'6" in the centers list. Mm-hmm. And, Jokic is right there nipping at his heels. I mean, it just takes one more season of what Jokic has been doing. And it's like, oh, okay, well, Jokic is that dude now. Here you go. Honestly, if he just got an all defensive team at any point, it could be an all defensive second team at this point, I'd be like, okay, yep, Jokic is a top 5 center. I think it's that close for him to potentially be a top 5 center just because he's so good offensively. It's hard to take away a lot when he can do what he can offensively, even though he doesn't play great defense.
Watch him randomly lead the league in blocks now, or just something absolutely asinine. It's like, oh, well, okay, that's new. There's a wrinkle in your game that we weren't quite ready for. You can't jump over the phone book, but you seem to be able to pin the ball off the backboard with ease now. So